we have our medium one here. So it says in the diagram at the right, we have 2 parallel lines cut by a transversal. So we do have some parallel lines, so we know lots of things are true about parallel lines. And I pasted this little note down here because remember that we had different types of angle pairs. We talked about corresponding alternate interior, consecutive interior, alternate exterior, and consecutive exterior, and that's when you have one slice from each of the pizzas. And then we had vertical pairs where if you were on the same pizza, we had vertical across from the X, and we had the linear pair, which was like a half a pizza. So I know these pictures are small, so you might want to redraw them bigger so you can fill in the information that you need. You can always use scrap paper or you can use your spiral. So it says in the diagram to the right, 2 parallel lines are cut by a transversal. We have the measure of angle 3. So this angle right here has a value. It looks like this right here. I'm not going to be able to write it into my little picture. And then measure of angle 6 is, so we do have some stuff. Now these are not actual numbers, they are expressions, so we're going to have to be able to set up an equation and probably solve it in order to figure out some more stuff. But we do have that information for when we get down to the bottom here. So make sure you read up here if you're curious how to answer these down here, because it says to determine the angle measures. Okay, so remember what we did. Now we practiced by making little pizzas and labeling everything acute and obtuse. And I know some people are like, I don't want to do all that, or it's not telling me to do that, but it's probably going to save you some time in the end. So I have my 2 pizzas. I'm going to label all of my acute, my small slices of pizzas, A's. So this is an A, small slice. This is an A. This over here is an A, and this over here is an A. And then I have my obtuse, my big slices. So this is an O, and an O, and an O, and an O. And once again, they don't ask you to do that, but if I label them all, I should have 4 A's and 4 O's. And that way, when I answer these, I can just crank them out. So 5 and 8. If I look at 5 and 8. So 5 is here, that's an A. My 8 is an A. So since they're both A's, they're going to be equal to each other. So that's going to be the measure of angle 5 is equal to the measure of angle 8. Relationship, remember I get to pick from these kinds of angles. That's my relationship or my reason why they're equal to each other. So 5 and 8, if I look at them, 5 and 8 are on the same pizza. So I only have an option of vertical or linear pair. And they are across from each other on an X. So they are an example of a vertical angles. So this is vertical angles are congruent. Next one, we have 5 and 4. So 5 is here, and 4 is here. So it looks like those are both A's. So that means they're equal in measure. So they're, because they're congruent, equals the measure of angle 4. If I look at them, now remember all your little things. You can have some colored pencils. You can see that this is the interior. Oopsie. This is the interior. So, and then we do have a transversal that goes right down the middle here that's blue. So you can always get your colored pencils out and color those so that you are less likely to make mistakes. Okay, so when I look at these two, this 5 and 4, they are both on the interior. They're both in the yellow area. So if they're both interior, then I can check from these two because they are on different pizzas, correct? So these are my 2 options, either alternate interior or consecutive interior. So alternate means that they are on different sides of this transversal, and consecutive interior means they're on the same side of this blue transversal. So I could see one is on the top of the transversal and one's on the bottom on different sides, so that would make these alternate interior angles. Alternate interior angles. Oopsie, that's a T. Angles are congruent. Alternate interior angles are congruent. Next one, we got 6 and 4. So 6 is over here, and 4 is right here. Now, once again, it looks like those are both, they're on different pizzas, and they are both on the interior. They're in the yellow area. So once again, I have a choice of alternate interior or consecutive interior. So if I look at my transversal, it looks like both of those red dots are on the same side of the transversal. So that would make them consecutive. Consecutive interior. And those babies are supplementary, right? Consecutive interior angles are supplementary. Don't have a lot of room to write with this big fat marker. So 4 and 6 are both, I got an O and an A, right? And that means that they're going to add up to be 180. So the measure of angle 6 plus the measure of angle 4 equals 180 degrees. Definitely don't have enough room in this thing with this marker. Okay, let's check out 2 and 8. Go orange. 2. 2 is up here, and 8 is out here. So I got an O and an A again, which means that means the measure of 2 plus the measure of angle 8 has to equal 180 degrees. It looks like those are, neither of them are in the yellow area, so it looks like they're on different pizzas and on the exterior. So exterior, different pizzas, so that means I got a choice of these two down here, both exterior. Are they on the alternate sides of the blue transversal or consecutive sides? So here's my blue transversal. They are clearly both on this side. So they are on same side. So these are consecutive exterior, and those are supplementary. Consecutive exterior angles are supplementary. Okay, the last one we have is 3 and 7. So 3 is here, and 7 is here. So it looks like one of them is in the yellow interior, and one of them is not. So that means they're not interior or exterior, so they're none of these, right? They are on different pizzas. They're actually the same slice of pizza, right? So this is the bottom, this same exact piece. So that's going to make them corresponding angles. Okay, so this is an O and an O. O and an O. So O's are all congruent to each other. So the measure of angle 3 is equal to the measure of angle 7. And they are corresponding angles are congruent. Okay, now we need to determine the angle measures of all of these things down here. So notice up here they give us some angle measures, but they're actually expressions. So look at angle 3 and angle 6. So if I look at angle 3, that's this one right here. I know I'm going to have 15 colors over top of it. So 3 is right here, and 6 is right here. Now, what kind of angles are those two? 3 and 6. We actually did not have those in the list, but 3 and 6 are going to be what kind of angles? So are they then the interior? Are they exterior? What are they? 3 and 6, they're both on the interior, and they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So these guys are alternate interior angles, right? Alternate interior angles are congruent to each other. So just like we said, they're going to be both O's, right? So we would put OO really if we were doing this one. And so then we would know that they were equal to each other. So all we have to do is do an algebra problem where this is equal to that. Now we do need to check that, because if it was an O and an A, we wouldn't make them equal. Instead, we would add them up to make them equal 180. So we do need to check that even if it's not in our chart. So we do know that 3 and 6 are equal to each other. Okay, so 3 and 6 are equal to each other. So that means we can set up our equation as 3x plus 16 is equal to 5x minus 54. Okay, did I write that right? 3x plus 16, 5x minus 54. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and solve this. I'm going to get rid of this 3x on both sides. So I'm going to get 16 is equal to 2x minus 54. I'm going to add 54 to both sides. So I'm going to get 2x is equal to 70. Okay, and then I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And I'm going to get x is equal to 35. Okay, so I'm going to go back up and plug them into these two things. So remember it said the measure of angle 3. So I'm basically going to plug in a 35 into both of these. So I'm going to put a 35 right here and a 35 right here. And then I can get the measure of these angles. So I'm going to go ahead and get my calculator. Okay, so for this one I'm going to do 3 times 35, and then I'm going to add 16 to that. So for this angle I get 121 degrees in my calculator, and this one says 5 times 35, 5 times 35 minus 54, and I'm going to still get 121, which is exactly what I should get, right? Because I said that they were congruent to each other. So that means that all of the O's are 121. So that means all of the obtuse angles equal 121. Now, obviously, all of the acute ones are supplementary to those. So we need whatever number is going to add to 121 to get 180. And that is 59 degrees. Okay, so that means if I look back at my picture, the measure of angle 1 in my picture, he is an acute angle, so he's 59 degrees. The measure of angle 4 in my picture, he's also acute, so he is 59 degrees. The measure of angle 6, he's obtuse, so he is 121 degrees. And the measure of angle 5, where's he at? 5 is here. He's acute, so he is 59 degrees. And you could just redraw this picture bigger and put all your angle measures in there and make sure that they're good, which is what I would do if I was taking a test.